Hello and welcome to IOI Monthly. I'm your host, I'm Travis. I'm joined today by Martin. Hello, Martin.
Hello.
We're going to start, as always, by introducing our guest and giving them the chance to sort of tell us how long they've been at IO, what they've been working on in the last 2 games, if there's anything before that as well, just to give our viewers a chance to sort of get to know you, get to know who you are, what you've done, and of course people know that they're here to hear about Siberia. That's your area of expertise, and we're going to get to that shortly. So Martin, please tell everyone who's watching who you are and a bit about yourself.
So I am a level designer. I haven't been at IO for that long. I was been here for a year and some months. So I was brought in basically to help finish Hitman 2.
Yeah.
I worked on Vanya Shah and Janice in Wilton Creek in various stages of. They were various stages of completeness when I joined.
Yeah.
And before that, I worked at Retsumoto with some of the founders of IO.
Yeah.
So Hitman is like a lifelong dream to work on Hitman for me.
And what about as a player, your experiences with Hitman?
Like I played Hitman when I was
when you were
kid.
too young.
I played I think I got some. I don't know if you should say this. Like I got some bootleg copy of Codename 47.
Of course you did. But you since bought the real version afterwards.
I bought the Silent Assassin contracts, Blood Money.
Then you're forgiven.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's like
you know Hitman pretty well. Like even going way back in the days. Like
yes.
it's a game you know well. Cool. So Martin, welcome to the stream. As always, we usually start with studio news, and we're going to start with a big promotion for following us on Instagram. So please do that. The account is IOI_studios. That's where we're posting mocap videos, stuff that's going on in the studio, and it's a little bit more about life here rather than the games we make and being too marketing heavy. It's very much the people and the things that we do. So that's the first thing that we wanted to just kind of remind people to do. Second of all, more game news is that right now, out in the world, we have the Santa Fortuna pack that's out. This is a way for people to play Hitman 2, to play just Santa Fortuna, as well as Codename. It's not called Codename, it's not Thinking Sheep, but it's called Hawke's Bay. Hawke's Bay is also included, and also the sniper map as well, the first one, Himmelstein. So people can get a taste of the game, and then later on upgrade if they want to. So you can come in for a really, really low price. Also, this episode we have a ton of videos. You've given us some videos. We have some other videos we want to show. But the first one is actually it's a feature that's in the game for PC. That one of our audio programmers, Stefan, pretty much took the leadership on. And it's about reverb. So there is a few things that I'll say about it, but there's also a video that explains it. So sit back and relax. This is just a few minutes of one of the newest features that has recently been added to Hitman 2. Cool. So that was from, as I said, Stefan. There's a few notes that I got from Stefan that I want to just read over so everyone's clear on how that works. It's something that all PC players can experience, regardless of what machine that they are running. You just go to audio settings, as you saw, and you set the audio simulation quality to best. Some players might already have this as their default option, but if it's not, you can just toggle it on, and you'll get that. It basically depends on how many cores you have with your CPU. That will depending on what the default setting is. So even if you don't hit the best, you can just toggle it to best, and you'll be good. And yeah, you get the improved experience. And again, this is only on PC. It's something that we're looking into bringing to console, maybe for future titles, probably not for Hitman 2. That was something that went out. We're also trying to put more videos into the stream to give people a little idea of how the game is put together and not just have two people talking here. So that was the third thing. And moving swiftly on to the next thing, this is something really cool, especially if we were talking about the older Hitman games. So we mentioned this previously, but we want to give people the chance to pre-order before it's too late. So Hitman: The Critical Collection is a 4 soundtracks from the first 4 games, remastered specifically for vinyl, put into an awesome collection that is pretty much doing homage to 47, all of the iconography from the games. Of course, all of these soundtracks from Jesper Kuhl, the composer that did the first 4 games, and he actually handpicked the track list as well, specifically choosing which song should go on. But it's a very, very limited run. There are only 2,000 being made. And we announced this a month or so ago, and we just kind of want to re-put it in front of people's eyes to make sure you don't miss out on your chance to pre-order. It was done in collaboration with I Am 8-Bit. You can see that as well on the artwork. That's also where you need to go to pre-order if you follow the links there, or just search for I Am 8-Bit Hitman Collection. You'll find it there. On top of the 4 vinyls that you get, you also have a digital download code as well. So if you want just the 4 soundtracks remastered as they have been, you can do that. And it also includes bonus tracks that have never been on vinyl before. So it's a very awesome collection for pretty much anyone who's interested in Hitman or the music, or if you're a collector. Yeah, and I think we're going to get some sent to the studio as well. So we've got to find a vinyl player so we can listen. I don't think we have one in the studio, but I know people are into their vinyl here, so we can get one. And maybe we can do some things where we sign some and give them away as competition prizes. That could be a really cool idea. So that's the Critical Collection that you can pre-order now. Cool. The last thing of studio news, and it's another video. The last thing that we want to show before we get to Hitman 2 and talking about Siberia is we recently had the guys from NoClip in the studio. I don't know if you were here when they were walking around filming and doing interviews with a whole load of people. It was early July, so you might have been on holiday, or
I think I was on vacation.
Yeah, a lot of people were. So this is a group that pretty much Danny is quite well known. He used to be on GameSpot, and he kind of now does crowdfunded video game documentaries, telling stories that have never been told, telling stories of studios and how things happened all over the world. It's fully crowdfunded, so it's on Patreon. Many of you have probably heard about it. But pretty much Danny's wanting to do a Hitman documentary for years, and we finally made it happen. The full thing is coming out today, and it's going to be split into 4 parts. So the first part is out today. They came in, and you can see on some of the shots, there's Danny on the left and Jeremy on the right. I don't know who the guy is in the middle. I think it's Clemens. So it was a really cool 2 days that they were here. And as I said, the full thing is out. People can see the 4 parts over the next week or 2. It was filmed all in-house at the studio. But there is a teaser trailer that they've put together for people that maybe don't know what it's about or want to just kind of learn about it. So we're going to run just, I think it's 2-3 minutes, just to give you guys an insight into what it's about. And remember that you can watch the full thing later today. Let's have a look.
Hitman is a puzzle game. I'm not sure everyone is aware of that. It doesn't look like it when you look at the box, but it is a puzzle game. Like, it can turn into an action game, and it can be a stealth game, and it can be social stealth, which is our thing. But I think it's important to look at it as a puzzle game, especially when designing it. We deal with it like a few different things. Like I think the most important one is what we call Swiss cheese. Just to make sure that we don't have dead ends, make sure that the player can move around and will always have another option because, you know, stuff will happen eventually and the player will often have to improvise. So you need to see your options in your environment. Then we work with public and private spaces. Public spaces will like represent the initial agency of the player. So this is where you can just like walk around and try to get a feel of the level. And we find that these are really, really important. Allow them to get inspired and start seeing the opportunities. And then we looked a little bit into how you could define the different private and public spaces. So you have some public spaces that are very free and very open. And then you have spaces that like shops and the church and a beach and all these little kind of microbiomes that will tell the player how to act. Like we will expect a specific type of behavior from you in this space, and you will often have someone owning that space. Like you'll have the priest owning the church, you'll have the ice cream guy owning the ice cream shop and the butcher, of course. You will always have a trespass area in these spaces, and you probably haven't been there before in real life. And you understand how it works. You understand that it is the butcher who's going to get mad at you if you walk behind the counter, and you have to become the butcher to do it. So it's a nice way for us to communicate trespass rules and disguise rules.
The level design team typically on a level have such a massive amount of scripting to do, which is completely non-linear, and they have to at all points create their acts, their scripts, their behaviors in ways where if something is missing, the game doesn't break. Most level designers that join IO have to unlearn a lot of stuff they've been used to, trigger boxing stuff to a high degree, for instance, saying, okay, this happens, then this happens. You can't do that in Hitman. So the ability to overview the spaghetti, of our graph view and figure out where the hell are we in what loop and how do we jump from one sort of rail to another rail for the target, for instance, is years of work for the design team on a level.
Hello, no clip.
All right, so the No Clip documentary, the trailer said next week. It's today. You can start watching it today, as soon as our stream is over. That's when we recommend you go watch it. Cool. The next thing we always do is we look at the current month. So Hitman 2 wise, this is where we are. This is July. And of course we have the prison that's right bang in the middle for expansion pass owners. We'll talk about that in just a second. I can see you itching. Let me talk! But we want to just talk about some of the other things. So we have contracts mode coming in Hawke's Bay, which is very exciting. That's happening tomorrow. And we have the anniversary suits, which I'm really excited for the Phantom suit. I love that. The Freedom Fighter suit. And I actually wrote the descriptions for the suits in the game. And they are almost always written by the writers. But for whatever reason, I was doing this one, so it took so long going through the manuals and trying to find words that would fit. So I'm excited to have them out in the world. People experimenting with those. We also have, just this week, we released what I think is probably the coolest suit that we've done. The Hot Summer Suit / Suave Summer Suit. It has two names because marketing. The one with like the flowery suit and the hat. I think it's really cool. And we've seen people having a lot of fun with it already. So there's an escalation. You complete the escalation, 3 stages of it. Actually, we played it together, Matt. We had to figure out how to explode the band. You need like all your explosives. It's quite a fun one. Yeah, so that's out as well. But we also have the update. So tomorrow, when the servers go down, we will have a game update that comes out, which pretty much prepares the game for Siberia to drop the new Sniper Assassin map. And we just wanted to go through some of the interesting things that are in that update to give players an idea of what to expect and what to come, because there's a lot, or there's at least a handful of things that are really, really interesting. So the first thing is the camera grids. So for a long time we had the security cameras, and they would kind of if you went into instinct, they would be on the floor. And then we changed it so that they were just always visible. And some players were like, well, I would prefer if they were only in instinct. So we basically made a setting for that. So in options gameplay, you have a camera grid menu. You can turn it on. They will just be on all the time. Or you turn it off. And then when it's off, you have to put instinct on to see them. So you sort of have the best of both worlds now. That's one of the things. Some of the other things, we actually have visuals to explain them a little bit better. Because we, or at least I, had to come up with names to explain the things that we have that in the game at least don't have names. So we have like the when you pick up an item, the little button prompt fills up with a circle. What do you call that?
An interaction prompt, or
that's
what do they call it?
I think that's what I called it. The interaction circle, interaction button. I don't think they have like documented this is what this is called, but when I'm explaining the patch notes, I have to call it something. So this is looking at this is in the bank with a as of yet unannounced suit. Will be announced very soon. Basically showing you that when you are about to do an illegal action, not all but some, so things like taking a gun out of a stash point, or picking up a gun off the floor, or things like I think picking up the wet floor signs in the bank, that's illegal. Anything that's red, basically, you now have the exclamation point moved off the button. It was kind of attached before, it was very small, you couldn't really see it. And the prompt interaction button wheel thing outside, you can kind of see it in the screenshot, is now red instead of white. Again, it should make it a little bit easier. It's not on things like drag body, because that's only illegal. I guess it's when you get seen, but I guess you could do this and not get seen. But it's not everything, but a whole bunch of things have been added. That's one thing. The next thing is, have you ever had the problem where you have stashed an item like we've done there, and you just are not sure when you then come back exactly where you stashed it?
Yes.
So we've got a fix for that. So it took me a little while to find a good place to show it off. I'm sure players will have better ideas straight away. But if you look at this shot, you've got the briefcase with the little white square, which is called the interaction marker, I called it, and in brackets, small white square, so everyone knows what we're talking about. The briefcase is empty, but the bin has got a gun in it. And you can see that the bin has kind of got a little, it's filled in. It's a very small thing, but when you're sort of running around the level, and you see the door, and you see a wrench, and there's little white circles, the grey box is like, oh, there's something there, I've put something there. So that's the second thing that we've put in. And the third visual that we have for you is what I call the attention spike.
Ah, yes.
You know what that is? What do you call it?
Yeah, the attention meter.
The attention meter. Okay, there we go. I have to make some edits. So we've made changes to the attention meter, which now looks like this. Again, in the bank with the as of yet unannounced suit.
Attention indicator?
Attention indicator?
Ah, that's what it's called.
So we've made 3 changes here. First of all, it's yellow, which you can immediately see. It used to be white. And it used to sort of spike out towards where you were getting attention from. Now it's sort of a bit more standardized, and instead of spiking out, you can see that the box is sort of grayed out. So as the attention sort of gets wider, when it hits the widest point, which you can actually see, that's when you know that the guard will react. So here he's not reacted. I'm sort of at a good distance, and I pulled the gun out, and because game, he hasn't immediately gone, oh my god, it's a gun. So very quickly I was like, full screen, drawn him, grab the screenshot really quick to get it a decent amount. So it's yellow and kind of spreads. And the third thing we've done is changed it from being, as I understand it, used to be like a 3D render on the screen, which meant that in some strange circumstances, if you put the camera off to the side or some weird stuff, you wouldn't necessarily see the meter or the spike. Now that's changed, so you will always see it. And the idea here is to make it more apparent when you're getting spotted, so you know exactly when or like how long you've got. Because obviously if I was really close to him, it would just immediately spike. Yeah. That's why I've stood, like I found the perfect place to stand for the screenshot. Because if I was a lot closer, he would have spiked faster. Yeah.
And we found that in the old system, almost always you'd go by the sound.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the only way you'd know how the max is. But now you have the visuals as well.
Exactly. And you still have the sound. That shouldn't have gone away. Cool. Those are the only things we have visuals for, so we can maybe leave that there. But there's a few other things that I want to just mention because they're kind of important to players, I think. So, Diana. Diana has forgotten who the targets are, especially in the Legacy Pack. So she stopped introducing the targets. It was a bug that came at some point. We've fixed that now. So she will, once again, tell you who that is, if you don't know. But we've actually made a slight change here, and this is kind of based on player feedback, where once you play the mission and Diana says, that is Novikov, then there will be a 2-day real-time delay before she says it again. So that if you're repeatedly playing the same mission and you're trying to do a run or you're trying to figure stuff out, you don't constantly get hit by the same dialogue line over and over and over again. Exactly. So you have to wait 2 days for her to get that. The idea is that it's a little bit less intrusive if you're playing in short periods of time, and basically make her less of a meme, which would be nice. We don't want Diana to be annoying, but just having a blanket mute Diana button is not an option that we are ready to do just yet. So we kind of think this is a nice middle ground of reducing her from being there all the time, but not taking her away from the experience entirely. Then there's 2 silent assassin things. One we fixed is where you could knock out a target, kill them in an accident, then when that body was found, you would lose your silent assassin. But you shouldn't have because it was an accident. That's been fixed. And there was an issue where you could get 4 stars and still get silent assassin because the never spotted bonus wasn't being granted because reasons. That's also been fixed. One of the reasons was if the target sort of half saw you, the attention meter started to spike, or actually it goes this way now, then that would not, you would kind of have triggered the spotted mechanic, but then we updated the silent assassin rules and there was like an overlap there. So now we've sort of ironed those out. So if you were kind of half noticed by the target before you killed them, you'll still get silent assassin now. And then there is still an issue with using the tranquilizer. So if you tranquilize someone and then kill them, that counts as silent assassin still. It shouldn't, and we haven't fixed that yet. That's a known issue. So we fixed 2 things and we still have at least 1 to get to. Cool. So that was your patch note preview. I feel like we need to trademark that. It's too alliterative not to. So patch notes is done, and now you are ready, I hope. Patch notes are going down. They're done. Next thing.
Let's talk.
Sniper assassin, the prison. Siberia. So before we talk, Martin, we're going to play the trailer.
Do it.
So we haven't shown this anywhere yet. It's going on YouTube at some point during the stream, looking at Matt. In 2 minutes, so you get a 2 minutes preview. Yes, let's do it quick. This is the first ever showing of the Siberia trailer for Hitman 2. Let's go. So the trailer is not playing. So we have a slight technical hiccup that we'll try and fix. We can show the trailer afterwards, or I guess it's 4:30, so go watch it on YouTube in the window. We could sit and be quiet for 2 minutes while people watch on YouTube. Or you can watch on YouTube when you get the chance, but we have you here. So let's take advantage of you being here. Let's talk about everything everyone was just about to see. Let's do that.
Let's do it.
So let's bring up the first image. So Siberia.
Yes.
So for people that don't know, have no idea what's going on. Tomorrow we're releasing a new sniper assassin map.
Correct.
It's at a prison in Siberia, and you need the expansion pass to play it. That's the boring stuff. The cool stuff is we're going to Siberia.
Yes. Back to Russia.
Back to Russia. We have new weather effects, so it's snowing.
It's very snowy.
It's very snowy. The level itself is snowy.
Yes.
And it's actually snowing while you're there. And people have already seen the suit that 47 has. He's dressed for the occasion, which is not an unlock. I've said it. Not an unlock. Is there anything else before we sort of talk about the targets and the gameplay, about the location itself, that you think is interesting?
Well,
I know it all sort of overlaps, but that's the general overview, right? We can also show some of the other images as well. We mentioned the suit that 47 has.
Yes, but now we can just talk about the targets and the objectives, and then there's one big thing that we should talk about.
Yes, which we'll get to. That's really, really cool. So yeah, we're in Siberia. It's snowy. The targets are, of course, why we're there. But we can also show 47's overview of it. So this is sort of the gameplay shot.
Yes.
We can talk through it as players see it at the same time, right? So they see 47 on the top of the mountain. He's looking down from within the cliffs. And maybe you can talk about this a whole lot better than I can. So as people are looking at these shots, you know, what should they sort of expect? What's the vibe of the mission?
Well, so For this one, we wanted to go back to Russia for the first time since contracts, I believe.
Yeah.
So we tried to get like that really dark vibe, like because all of those classic Russian missions in Hitman have that really cold, dark, gritty vibe. So that's what we were trying to do here. So what you're seeing is the Perm 14 prison facility. Which is like a semi-private prison facility in Siberia. Which is run by this terrible guy, ex-KGB agent called Vitaly Resnikov. He's the warden at this place. He's one of the targets. The other target is...
so that's Vitaly there. That's what those people are seeing, so they know who's who, right? So this is the warden. He's one of the targets, and the other target, I think you might have already seen him, but if we pull him up again, you can sort of tell us about him as well.
Yes, that is Roman Kapko, and he's an inmate of the prison. And he's sort of like a Ukrainian mobster boss, like the most important prisoner of the facility. And he has been imprisoned there for 10 years.
Okay, so he knows that place better than anyone.
Yes. And the thing is that we didn't want to make it like... we discussed this a lot when we started making this level. Should you be on the side of the prisoners or side of the officials, like the guards? And I think we wanted to make it more morally ambivalent. And gritty and nasty. So this place is like a place where there are bad people on both sides of the fence.
Right, okay. And so you don't really take anybody's side almost. You just sort of...
Well...
You're there to do your job, or are you sort of... you think people will go either way? So
there are also some good people in the prison, so they're both bad and good on either side.
Okay,
So
it's interesting.
So yeah, so I guess you do take a side in the mission. But there is like Vitaly Resnikov is the warden. He is like under scrutiny in the story for there's been like an international expose on the prison, where it's been revealed that he's been using these mercenary guards, the Siberian Tigers, to basically commit all kinds of nasty human rights violations. So this is not a nice place,
right?
And that's actually what leads into the mission, is that because Resnikov is about to probably be removed from his post or face like charges for human rights violations, he's looking for a way out.
Right.
And then Kapko, he sees his moment. Like he's been in prison for 10 years. So he's like, offers him a bribe. Basically to escape this prison. So yeah, of course he has to take it. Resnikov has to take it because he doesn't have that much time left before everything closes in on him.
Right.
So both of these targets are like planning to escape on this day.
Okay. And that also conveniently gives us a nice time box.
Yes.
Because of course the sniper maps do have a time window, right, of 15 minutes. So, and of course we see here the targets together. So I'm guessing, without too many spoilers, you can make them meet.
You can definitely make them meet in many different ways.
Okay, cool.
In many different contexts.
Let's give people a brief overview of the objectives.
Yes.
So when you launch in for the first time, we mentioned the two targets. That's a given. Sniper Assassin in the past has had 15 before it was bodyguards. How does that work for Siberia?
So it's still 15. And these are the Siberian Tigers, which are like targets of opportunity. They're like this private mercenary outfit that Resnikov has hired to basically act as his like death squad, or like they are really nasty. And they have the red hoods. I don't know if you can see them on the image here. To make them stand out. And it's like their calling card.
Are there other guards at the prison as well?
Yeah. So the mission is, because we need also in a sniper mission people that you can kill. So there are prisoners. Normal prisoners, which are civilians, and then there are the normal prison guards, like police. And those are not targets. So you get the penalty for shooting those.
I guess that's one of the interesting challenges of it's a location where you wouldn't have civilians. Or traditional civilians at least. You know, we've had a port and we've had a wedding where there would be people you wouldn't want to kill, right? So I guess the local guards kind of fill that role of being able to pull off your kills without being seen by.
And from a design perspective, you can make like there are tons of puzzles in this level that are about, you know, civilian guard and a Siberian tiger walking next to each other.
Yeah.
You got to separate those out, right?
Yeah, it's perfect. And then the other objective that you have is a big one.
It's a big one.
So tell us about that.
So for this mission, the client has specifically requested that these assassinations be like covered up in a big old cloud of violence, so that nobody can know that that this was like a hit.
Yeah, right.
So what they have added as a stipulation is that the ICA must start a prison riot.
Okay, that's your objective.
It is a full-on objective.
Yeah.
So basically, the prison riot will cover up the deaths of Vitaly Resnikov and Kapko.
So we can have a look at a bit of what that looks like.
Yes.
And this has many talking points around it.
Yes.
So just go ahead and describe what players are seeing, or what viewers are seeing, and how all of the different parts of it, as much as you can, because there's a lot, go into how this affects the gameplay and what players can do and the whole thing. The floor is yours.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
like,
I know. Completely agree.
So like the other two sniper maps, Himmelstein and Hansuport, they have an event.
Yeah.
In Himmelstein it's the wedding, and Hansuport it is the hostage situation.
Yeah.
And both of those events are linear. We always try to have an event in Hitman level, even also main missions, right?
Yeah.
And for this one, it's definitely the riot is the event.
Yeah, that's the big thing you can't help but notice, right? The trailer that everyone hopefully by now maybe has seen shows that off in a really cool way. That you can, I mean, let's just say it right here. The building's on fire, right?
Yeah.
You can cause fires, and the buildings will essentially burn.
Yeah.
They won't collapse and burn down, but they will set alight and change. And what happens with all of that?
So Himmelstein and the other two sniper maps, they have the linear event where you can do things, and then the event kind of changes, but it's linear. So for example, what we identified as a problem on Himmelstein is like there's the bridal waltz, which is a beautiful piece of scripting and animation and all that.
Yeah.
But it happens right at the end.
Yeah.
So almost nobody ever sees it, because at that point they've already killed everybody.
Yeah.
So with the riot instead, it's very different.
Yeah.
The riot is dynamic.
Right.
So you can start it whenever you want.
Right.
And you can also you can start it wherever you want.
Right.
So the thing is, like, the prison is the whole map basically is split into sections.
Yep.
And then with your shots you can start a riot.
Yeah.
In one area of the prison or another area of the prison.
Yeah.
You can spread it between areas of the prison.
Yeah.
And this you can do basically at any time during the mission.
Right.
So it's up to you, completely up to you, how far you escalate this thing.
Right.
Like, to complete the mission objective, you just need to start a little fire.
Right.
But you can put the whole thing on fire.
Right. And we have some shots that sort of show that as well. That, yeah, I mean, I've tried it, but like you said, the whole thing is just, it's a full scale,
crazy
pandemonium prison riot with all of the things I would imagine people would expect to happen, and you know, we have crowd tech, so crowds
are moving about in large groups of crowds are running.
Yeah,
cars are running, and this is like also where it gets really cool, is that on this level you can control all of the NPCs basically, because all of the NPCs have reactions to the riot. So let's say I start a riot in the eastern part of the prison. What you would see then is that guards from around the map, or the guards who are closest, will go to that riot to try to quell it.
Yeah.
And maybe the warden will go there, right? Because he's supposed to control this.
Right.
So you can use this area-based riot thing to draw guards.
Yeah.
then maybe you could, if you start two separate riots in two separate parts of the prison, you spread out the guards. So now they're separate from each other.
Yeah.
And then maybe they're easier to kill.
Right.
So there's tons of like dynamism
Yeah.
in how you can do so much with this.
Yeah.
You can control the loops of all of the guards.
Yeah.
Civilian and the bad guards.
Yeah. Whenever you want, by the sounds of it, right? It's
Yeah, exactly.
you have like it's almost, I almost said the word sandbox, but it kind of is how you can kind of pull the strings and move.
You can move
manipulate
groups of prisoners
everyone
into other parts of the prison.
Yeah.
You can, it's quite elaborate.
Okay, cool.
It's
and we're going to go through more screenshots. So, two obvious questions that I think people are probably shouting in chat. What happens if there's people in the buildings when you set them on fire?
they die.
That's such an obvious thing, but yes, it's not like they run out or if the building's burning and there's people in there, they're dead.
So basically you can, the buildings will catch on fire for numerous reasons, but one of the reasons is if you spread the rioting prisoners, like if you open a gate or something, then they will run into a building and then the building will catch on fire. So the riot will be in that building, which will kill all of the guards inside or targets.
Yeah, or non-targets, I guess. So you've got to be careful with what you're doing, right?
And then you can kind of start seeing the design, right? That you have to get people out of buildings.
Okay, that's cool. The other thing is people maybe can have a clue of it here is you said that they try and quell the fire. So what does that mean for the guards? What are they what are they doing here with the fire extinguisher?
So this is a concrete example. I think everyone who's played Hitman knows that the fire extinguisher is like an explosive.
Death trap, basically.
And so for we have lots of riot behaviors for the guards, and one of them is that if something catches fire, then a nearby guard will go to a fire extinguisher, pick it up from the little closet or wherever, fire extinguisher closet, and then he will run to the fire and try to extinguish it. Yeah, like he doesn't really extinguish it, but it's.
But he's trying so hard. He's really trying.
They don't have much success, these guards, but you can see how that creates a moving bomb.
Yes, and of course also the fact that you could probably, knowing that he's the nearest one to the fire, he will go there and do that, and you sort of again have more control. For whatever reason, you might want to move them around and obviously have him drag the fire extinguisher with him, right?
Yes.
And I think it's also the first time we've had that the guards will go and get a fire extinguisher. I don't think we've.
Yeah, that's not.
I don't think we've done that before. So it's new for Siberia.
Because I think that's what Hitman is all about. Is like playing with the AI.
Yeah.
Their behaviors, what they do.
Yeah.
All the classics like make them discover a body and then they body bag it and they go somewhere, right?
Yeah.
That's the fun of Hitman, is like making a plan and then
make it all happen, right? Yeah. Cool. So under my title, cool shit you can do, we've covered some of it. We have about the targets have kind of when you're in a combat state and targets are starting to escape. We have new behaviors there as well.
We do have some, like we don't have as many escapes as on the other side of the map, but we have some really cool ones. Like we have I don't know, it's the spoiler. There's a snow scooter escape. Yeah. And we have stuff like you can shoot off. Even secondary targets will use the snow scooters. There's like a bunch of snow scooters. Yeah. It's very agent fantasy, right? So all the guards get on the snow scooters and they try to escape, and then you can like pick them off as they drive.
Okay, I think that's really cool. Because in the past we've had the targets would sort of disappear behind the map, or they would like escape in the helicopter or something like that.
They still do that, but
yes, but now you have the moment of he's getting away, but not quite, not today.
I wanted to make I wanted to make the shit goes wrong moment much cooler than it was on the other two maps. Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of people, that's the fun of Hitman. It's like you can play this map Silent Assassin. You can kill everyone and you can wait with starting the riot, and then you can just like start just in one little area. And then that'll feel completely Silent Assassin, like true Hitman. But I think the fun of Hitman is always like exploring that space in between Silent Assassin and Total Chaos.
Yes, yes.
And I wanted to make all of those things are pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, cool. We've talked about the location. We're in Siberia. We've talked about the targets.
Mm-hmm.
You talked a little bit about them as well. There's obviously the 15 Siberian tigers as well.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about them. And then the riot and the gameplay, all the new cool stuff you can do.
Mm-hmm.
About you can burn down the buildings, you could spread the riot, you can move the guards around, you can have the guards, they will go and get fire extinguishers, you can kill the escaping targets.
Yes.
Is that also the main targets? Or just the tigers?
It's just the tiger. Well, you can kill them.
Is anyone who gets on the snow scooter?
Yeah, but like if there's like a little bit of a when they get on the snow scooter, that's a cutscene.
Right.
So then you can't kill them. But
Okay.
I don't know. You can set some things off before they go.
Okay.
They're traps.
Cool. So the next thing we want to talk about, because that's really cool why we have you here, is how it was made.
Yes.
So a section about things like, I mean, you had a really cool thing you told me about the original idea, or the first time you thought about a map in a Siberian prison, and when that was.
Well, actually, when you apply to IOI to be a level designer, they give you this test, and it's basically like a paper test, and they say design a level for Hitman. And I actually made a Siberian prison because I think it's a fan favorite, the prison idea. When you look at the forum, it's one of those ideas that always come up.
People in chat are going, yes, yes, prison please, prison please.
And I guess what people then will say, like, but why did you make it for the feet on ground? Like, why didn't you make it for the main game?
That's what you did originally. That was your pitch at least.
That was my pitch.
Was to do one.
In my
your interview. Yeah.
And then the lead level designer, Torbjörn, he said like, oh my god, we've been wanting to do a prison for years and years, and it's always one of those ideas. But then he explained to me why it couldn't happen in the main game, which is to do with some of our AI limitations.
Yeah.
Specifically, for example, our AI do not understand locked doors.
Right.
I don't know if you're a hardcore player, you've probably noticed this. That
some people will know what you're talking about.
They can kind of go through every door, but it's to avoid that they get stuck.
Yeah.
So they can't. So they don't get stuck on one part of the map because you've locked the door or something, or some other. But in a prison, you need locked doors.
Of course, a prison with no locked doors would quickly not feel like a prison.
So that's a feature you'd have to make.
Yeah.
And then also there are stuff like they're really a Hitman map now is consisted of 2 AI types. One of them is a guard and one of them is a civilian. And then they have all these behaviors that they react to each other with. And if you were going to do a prison, you would have to make the prisoners would be civilians.
Yeah.
And then you would have the guards be the guards.
Yeah.
But then every time you would drop an illegal item, for example, the prisoners would go get a guard to pick it up for them.
Yeah.
Or
So it would take a whole lot of work, basically. We'd need an entire new character group or something like that to make it work properly.
Yes.
Which is why
you would need a prisoner AI type.
Yes.
And then when, like, I don't know if this is a bit of a spoiler, but when you sit in a meeting with lots of people and they ask you, how much time is this going to take, and how much when you have your pitch meeting and you say, look, this is my great idea, let's make it.
Yeah.
And then they go, how much is this going to cost?
Yeah.
Compared to these other ideas.
Sure. Prison it's going to take ages to do this compared to something else, right?
So knowing that, so that's one of those. The prison just gets pushed back into the pile of ideas. Yeah. It's like maybe one day we'll do it.
Yeah. But you had the idea.
Yes.
Way back. Like you were just as everyone in here and many people on the forums, which I guess at some point you were like a fan of the games playing. Oh, I'd love to have a match in a map.
Yeah.
In a prison, you were also thinking the same thing.
Absolutely.
So you sort of pitched it at your interview, and then somehow came full circle to
actually doing, but different.
Yes, of course, as a sniper map. So that was for you the original idea, at least. I'm also curious about, from when you got the go-ahead for we're making a sniper assassin map, and it was agreed that it was in the prison or in Siberia. How how your ideas changed, or things that you wanted to happen couldn't happen, or at what point did you think, hey, we should have a riot or burn the buildings, or how can you sort of try to explain a little bit of the process? And then we've got some visuals that we can show as well.
Yeah. So this is right after Hitman 2 ended.
When it launched.
Yeah, the production of Hitman 2.
So that was shortly before launch, I guess. November 18-ish, thereabouts.
Like we are not one of those, or some of those that like start making DLC during. It was like
everybody got Hitman 2 out the door, and then let's make DLC.
Yes. So then they said they have to make one of the sniper maps, and then I know Bjarne, he went into pretty quickly into production with the hand support, and then I had a little bit more time.
Yeah.
So what we did is we made a bunch of prototypes.
Yeah.
And this is like everyone can make a prototype and start exploring. And then we also have this box of old ideas that maybe this could be something.
Yeah.
Which is full of stuff.
Yeah, must be a cool place.
It is a very cool place. You can never go there. Oh, so our animator, one of our senior animators, he made this prototype based on Mumbai.
Okay. So if we can run that now, or we can try and run that. We'll talk about through that.
Yeah.
So this is Mumbai crowd
doing a riot.
So we're sort of trying to figure out how a riot could work, what it might look like, and this is very early, and people can probably see that it's.
This is a prototype. This is not
this is not the game. This is way before it was released.
Siberia looks much better than this.
Yes.
But yeah, so the prototype was to have like a large crowd moving, running, and then you're sniping into it.
Yeah.
And then I thought, like this, compared to the other prototypes, this is just really intriguing. Like shooting someone who's in a crowd of lots of movement and lots of fire and explosions.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
And so this being the best prototype, then we start to think like, okay, should we do a riot? Where could a riot happen?
Yeah.
And then I said, it should be a prison.
And where should the prison be?
It should be in Siberia.
And it is.
We talked about Guatemala as well. And,
okay.
But it ended up being Siberia because I think compared to they know that the next live location is
a resort.
Yes.
Yes.
They know that's probably a warm place. So they wanted something really contrasting, something cold and horrible. And the Siberian prison works perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when we decided to marry those ideas.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we had Rasmus, our concept artist, make a sketch. Yeah. Which I think we
can
also
take a look at that as well.
And
so this is also super early.
Yes.
And this is not a screenshot. This is not the game. It's like a concept put together with like the game UI on it to make it look like.
We had done some gray boxing.
Maybe we can pop it full screen. Is that possible?
It's a beautiful concept.
And then we can see. Then it'll be a little bit easier to see that it's not the game. It looks. You're probably the judge, but it looks fairly similar.
Yes.
It's pretty on point for the layout at least.
Yes.
But just a concept put together. Looking pretty cool actually.
It's a beautiful concept.
Yeah. So this is something that you had to sort of work from.
Yes. To
then build the level. Like, what's the vibe? What does it look like? What's sort of the building shapes? Is it those sorts of things that you use the concepts for, right?
Yeah. Because there's we had done the layout of like we knew we had to have a yard, prison yard, and we had some buildings, and we had a base layout, but then getting that to feel like those like Russian architecture, but also to feel like this was like more of a darling for me, but it's like to make it feel like we're returning to Russia in the Hitman franchise. So it has to feel like those iconic Hitman Russian missions.
Those missions from Hitman 2 especially, right? Silent Assassin, back in the day.
And Contract as Bjarkov Comic.
Yes. I've seen a lot of tweets about that, and Hidden Valley vibes as well. It's
yeah,
not quite
true.
Russia, but the snow, and I think that
his outfit,
exactly, yeah,
the sniper rifle, yeah, and also St. Petersburg Stakeout.
Yes,
It's a sniper mission that happens in Russia.
Yes,
so.
it's perfect for that. There's one other, I'm going to call it a concept. Maybe you can explain what it is. That we'll show you now.
Yeah.
This is something that you gave to us that you had from back in the day. What
Yeah,
is this, and what do you use it for?
This is actually the very earliest. This is before the concept. This is just us making the crate box, and so it's just we just sit down and we say, like, we knew we were gonna have these areas. We're gonna have a yard. We're gonna have an administration building area.
Yeah.
And then we wanted this gulag like work camp.
Yeah.
Setting around it. So,
yeah.
Because we wanted all of those fantasies in this.
Yeah.
Also because we didn't want to make a boring prison. We want to make a prison that has... No, but like if you go to an American prison, for example, the reality is that it's like a lot of boring buildings.
Right.
Concrete construction and stuff like that. And so here we wanted this like Cold War feel.
Yeah.
Like, it's gulag.
I guess visually you can be a bit more expressive with it, and
yes,
it has like a feeling. Immediately you are sort of taken there, whereas maybe a US prison might be. It could almost be anywhere.
Yeah.
But here you immediately think, okay, it's snowy, cold, and of course when you hear Siberia, that's what you think of, right?
Yeah.
So it fits really well there. I think this is also some early.
Yeah, super early
work on
crate boxing.
Yeah, putting it together.
Before we even had architecture, like making gulag out of fish huts from
from Colombia.
Yeah, from Colombia, and like watchtowers that are like fish huts on stilts and
right. Okay. Just anything that gives the idea before you probably get into production, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, awesome. Okay, the other thing, the last thing, and I know that we are coming towards our end of time, about the fact that this is the third Sniper Assassin map.
Yeah.
Were there things that you wanted to improve on from the previous two, or wanted to make specifically different, or was there any sort of need to make it feel very, very different? I know you talked about how it's dynamic, but was that as much as you wanted it to be dynamic, or do you want it just to feel very different from the other two maps?
I wanted
visually it's very different, but was there any
feel
major considerations for it?
I wanted it to be a lot different because, like, I think that's also what the players expect from us, is that we deliver locations that are have huge contrast, right? Yeah. And that you can do unique, cool things in each of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like we put a lot of resources into making the riot dynamic and cool and like be the centerpiece of this level.
Yeah. And it absolutely is. I think when we did feedback tests, I think the first thing I thought was, it's just crazy. Like, so much happens. And the first playthrough, I think most people experience this, is probably a little bit like,
it's going to be
whoa, it's overwhelming of the riot starts and you're not really sure, and then you as you're figuring it out, lots of stuff's happening and people are moving around and you're like, whoa, this is cool. And then I think for me at least, I didn't know exactly how it worked, and then stuff was just burning. It's like, what did I do? I didn't mean to do that. And it does escalate as you learn your way through the level. So I think it's a really, really exciting first playthrough.
Because like in all other sniper maps, you get a guard. Like you have two targets which have very dynamic routines, right? Or three targets.
Yeah.
And you can alter the routines. But most of the guards, they have like their routine. They walk between 2 points or 3 points.
That's true. Yeah. I guess here that's completely
not the case.
No, they are fully. But depending on what you do with the riot and moving stuff around, it changes, right?
Yeah. Okay. And we also saw that people really like to do like. So one of the big scoring things, like what gives the better scoring, is moving headshots.
Yeah. So
we were doing like these walkways above the prison yard where you start the riot, you got like guards running full speed, so that makes obviously it's a more skill.
Yeah, if you can pull it off at least. Yeah.
And just guards with assault rifles, and it's just it's during this like almost a blizzard, so it's like it's very intense as an experience compared to some of the calm of the other missions.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's even one thing we didn't mention is that, like you just mentioned, the walkways. That if you manage to snipe the guard over the walkway into the crowd or into the prisoners, that counts as a hidden body, right?
Yes.
Because it's kind of hidden within the riot. Yeah. Game logic wins that.
So in the other maps, they use water for hiding bodies, like large surfaces of water. You're in Siberia, you could have ice, but but there is no water in this level. It's like it's snow.
Yeah.
So we have to find other ways to hide them, and obviously, like it feels like if you shoot someone in a huge puddle of violence, then that should go unnoticed.
Yes. So that's how we have it.
So that's how we
can hide bodies in the crowd.
Yeah.
And there's also other ways you can use the snow. So
snow
most people are looking at thinking, what happens if I shoot the guy into the snow?
Yeah.
And we can show you what happens if we shoot the guy into the snow. At least this is how it looks in game, Martin.
Yeah.
So I guess his legs stay sticking out, or they go back in?
No, it goes like poof, and they go.
Okay, so this screenshot is taken just at the right time.
Yeah.
So the legs are there for effect, but they don't stay sticking out. It's not that far. Cool. So that's a little bit about how it was made. But if our videos are working, there's a video we want to show of you.
Oh.
So let's see if actually we should explain it before it comes on. So you were involved in
the mocap as well.
The mocap for the level, not just as level design.
That's one of the most fun part of working at IO. I think is that everyone's very like you get to be part of everything.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to have this like super violent prison, like much more violent than maybe most of the stuff I'm into for this dark contracts-esque vibe. And so we had to do lots of like prisoners fighting each other, prisoners killing each other. And I think what the video you have is like a hero moment for Roman Capco.
Yeah.
The
So he was the target who's the prisoner.
Yes.
The big guy.
When I say hero moment, I don't mean that he's a hero.
No,
I mean,
for him, it's like it really shows who he is.
It's like
so in the shot that we're about to see, we have the animation director, Bat.
Yes.
Who's kind of on the left, and people will see you on the right.
Yes.
So Bat is Roman. He's the target.
Yes.
Having his hero moment, and you are another guard.
No, I'm
a prisoner.
I'm another prisoner.
You're a prisoner.
Some poor guy who is like, it's Roman Capco's last day, so he's like getting even with all the people he doesn't like, right?
So there is audio on it if it runs. So we'll try and show you that now, and then we can talk about it again afterwards. Oh, still no.
Action.
Yeah, it's running. Okay.
Ikke så meget, Martin. Lidt mere, du ved ikke, hvad fanden sker endnu.
So this is you on the right hand side. It's hard to tell in the phone.
I'm pretending injured because I've never been beaten up by a guard.
Right.
Bad is doing a wonderful job of pretending to be someone much bigger.
Yeah. The blue cushion has been subtly put into place. It's a car battery.
Yes.
So you're getting repeatedly punched in the face.
And now it's going to crush my skull with the car battery.
3 times.
Yeah, that's it.
So players will be able to see this relatively early when they start the level.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the scene as you see it.
Yeah.
This is the car battery that comes down onto essentially you. So people will know that prisoner that gets beaten and then the body gets dragged away is expertly mocapped by yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, again, there's a lot to go through. We are gonna move on to 2 more things, and then we will do a few questions from chat. So we have the release details for the level. Just very quickly, it's out tomorrow. You need the expansion pass to get it. The release times are the same as we've always had. So the servers will go down for maintenance at 11 o'clock UTC till about 3 o'clock UTC, where the game update will release that we already went through, and people that are able to download Siberia can do so starting at 1 o'clock UTC, and then depending on your country and your platform, it's different times. If you've watched the streams before, it's the same times as the last time. I won't list all of them, they'll be on the blog, but they're the same times as normal. And the download for the prison is less than 2 gigabytes on all platforms. So it's a relatively small download for a huge chunk of content coming your way. The location also has achievements and trophies on all platforms. It has challenges, score multipliers, all of the usual sniper assassin stuff you would expect. Plus, this time, for the first time, you can unlock the rifle that 47 is using. And you do that through solo play mastery. When you reach mastery level 20, you unlock the rifle. And that rifle can then be used as any other item. It goes into your inventory for sandbox locations. And there's one thing that I've seen people talking about is that, at least for the first 2 maps, that getting to level 20 was a grind. It took a long time, basically. And I know that you said that, you know, there's ways in this map that you can earn points quicker.
I would say
so it's not that we want to tell people how to do it, but it's not. You shouldn't expect the same level of grind based on how the level plays out. And I think the burning buildings are a clue towards that, right? You can
make a lot more points with all this chaos.
Yes.
Than in terms of environmental kills, using set pieces. Than you could before. To such a degree that I think that it'll be a winning strategy.
Yes. Okay, cool. So we've noted that. Next thing, we're going to look ahead to the future. So, even more into the future. So, Siberia is tomorrow, and there's the rifle. You can see it there. That's awesome. Didn't know we had that picture. I'm being surprised on the live stream. Yes. So, I never get the order right, but it's the Druzhna, or Druzhina, I don't even know how you pronounce it. ICA 34 Arctic. But every time I see it, they're written in a different combination of way, like the ICA Arctic 34. Take that combination and put it whichever one you like. That's the rifle. But let's look to the future. Let's look to August. And we have our monthly themes. So this month was jungle music. August is social chameleon. That's the theme. So everything in August is kind of revolving around, content-wise, is about disguises, about taking on other people's personas, about dressing up in as many different cool things as you possibly can. The suit that you see here is one of the things that's coming. It was also in the release notes that I took screenshots from. You can get this suit as part of the Smart Casual pack, which is for part of the expansion pack, expansion pass, I should say. It also comes with a ICA flash phone and the earphones fiberwire unlock. So that's what's in the pack there. We also have a new challenge pack, which is called Best Case Scenario. We can show you some screenshots from that as well. So this one is about you're in Isle of Scale, and as you can probably tell from this screenshot and the other two that we'll show you as well, that it's all about the briefcase. So 47 is carrying the briefcase. He's wearing different disguises. He's doing different stuff with his briefcase. I think we have one more briefcase screenshot. This one is particularly cool. Which way is he walking? It's a cool. I really like that disguise. So the idea here is the homing briefcase. So when we released the game, I'm sure you know as much as anyone, we had the briefcase that would very slowly track its targets, and over time we've kind of fixed that, and it doesn't. Yeah, but now we have the ICA research department has been like, you know what, we need that briefcase back. That technology is too special.
That's perfect.
So we've made an unlock, which is basically the homing briefcase, which is causing bugs in future levels, which I've seen are hilarious. no spoilers, but we are bringing the briefcase back. So the homing briefcase is an unlock. It's a challenge pack, so it's open to everyone who has access to Isle of Scale. You complete briefcase challenges, and you unlock the ICA executive briefcase with, as you can see, a well-worn, because the joke is that well-beaten at this point, MK2 sticker right on the front of it. And anyone can unlock this as long as you complete the challenges. This is the reward. And you can recreate your slow-mo briefcase chases once again, which I think was a thing that way back we took a long time to patch it because we liked it. But we wanted to put that property on one particular briefcase rather than just have all of them act weird. So we're sort of embracing the fun in a different way. So yeah, that's also coming in August. It's the best case scenario challenge pack. But we're just going to go all in, and we've not done this on the live streams before. And we don't have the blog post ready either. So screen grab away and put on the forum, please. This is your August roadmap in full. Giving Mass time to get it ready. There you go. So we have new escalations. We have the best case scenario challenge pack. We have, to go alongside the social chameleon theme, we have the cosplay karma featured contracts. Players can think of what that theme means for them. Cosplay karma. Again, we're going about taking on different disguises, wearing different outfits, being different people. We have the smart casual pack for the expansion pack owners. And a few legacy elusive targets in there as well as a game update and a live stream that'll be in a month from now, thereabouts. We'll be back here talking about whatever is coming up in the game in the following month, in August. So that's August. All just have it. There's the roadmap. Cool. Then we have fan questions, and I know that we are a little bit over time, so we'll take a few. I have some here, and chat, now is the time to throw your questions at Mass. Bearing in mind we won't be able to answer everything because time constraints. But there's two things that I saw that I want to talk about, and it was even more apparent after the August roadmap that yes, there are two more legacy elusive targets. We've had questions about this for a little while, about legacy ETs. And the next Hitman 2 elusive target will be coming after the launch of the resort. So you've seen that it won't be August, that's legacy ETs. And we'll have more to say about our legacy ETs and our Hitman ETs shortly after as well. We're also tying the legacy ETs to the theme of the month, which is kind of why we're not, we're revisiting locations that they each have a suit, right? And there's this conspiracy theory that we don't want people to get the Bangkok suit, and we haven't done a Bangkok legacy elusive in a long time. That's not a conspiracy, they just match the theme. There will be opportunity to unlock all of the elusive target suits at some point. I will tell you all about that as well. The other important thing that I want to tell people about is when we launched the game, we had the option to buy the regular edition, the silver edition, and the gold edition. And the silver edition included expansion pack 1, but nothing else, and gold included expansion pack 1 and 2. And we're done with expansion pack 1 now. So everything from now forwards, which includes Siberia and the smart casual pack, and the resort and the special assignments that are still to come, that's all expansion pack 2. So if you're a silver edition person, we are releasing a silver to gold upgrade. We're putting that on Steam tomorrow, and that basically upgrades you to be a gold edition owner. It's priced accordingly, and it includes any of the other bonus content we put into the gold edition as well. So that's coming onto Steam. That's where the overwhelming majority of silver editions are on Steam by a very large margin. On consoles, we have, I think on some platforms we currently have sales for the expansion pass, the full thing. It's being heavily discounted now, up to as much as half off, sometimes more. Those discounts will continue to come on all platforms and for all regions. So for the very small amount of people that have silver edition on consoles, which I think was only sold digitally, the option to get the expansion pack 2 content is through sales on the expansion pass. Those are the two things, the elusive targets and the silver edition, that I know people need to know ahead of tomorrow. I know that as I look at the questions on screen and on my sheet here is basically what everyone was asking about anyway. So we've kind of ticked those off. We've also talked about the grind to level 20 in sniper maps. We've talked about elusive targets, and I also see a lot of questions about various unlocks that people want. We see all of that feedback, and we're trying to find places for them to fit in and around challenge packs and things like that. Other questions about future content, we'll handle those when that content is a little bit closer to release. But there was one thing here that I want to talk about. Yes. And then we'll talk to maybe some more sniper questions if there are any coming through chat. Because I think a lot of the questions here I already have on paper. There was one about PlayStation 4. So this is almost like a maintenance note. We had some server issues one night, I think it was last week on PS4, where anybody that was unlocking rewards, they were not being granted. So the game got a bit confused because it said you're level 20 in your mastery, but you didn't actually get the award, so you couldn't then trigger it. That'll all be fixed in the maintenance tomorrow. The reason we had to wait was basically because we can only fix those things when you're offline, so we need to kick you offline, basically. So we're going to do that tomorrow when the maintenance goes out. So PS4 players should see all of that fixed. I can see a question about sniper aiming toggle. Yes, that's in. I think I mentioned that already. But in the patch tomorrow, you will be able to toggle your aim. So right now you hold the trigger. No, that's wrong. You hold aim.
Yes. And
you then tap to shoot. Now what you can do is you can just tap aim and you'll scope. And then you can just look around. You can almost play one-handed if you want. Don't advise it, but you can. So you don't have to hold the button. It's especially nice for Sniper Assassin, where you're pretty much aiming the whole time.
They should have released that when I was developing the level.
Yes, so your aim finger is ready.
It's always flexed
yes,
now.
But that means you're always ready. Now you can test it. You can just sort of tap. It's great. So it works in Sniper Assassin. It works in the sandbox levels as well when you're aiming a weapon. But it doesn't work when you're throwing. So if you want to throw something, you have to hold to get throwing arc and do that the normal way. So that's where that is. Before I take maybe a few more questions, I'm just curious if there's anything else you want to talk about. Anything that you think we've missed, or more Sniper Assassin related goodness. Otherwise we have, I actually can't see any questions specific to Sniper other than the level mastery. But there was a question about what games you like playing when you're not working, which I think is an interesting one for you
working.
To put you under the spot. Is there some under the spotlight? Is there something you're playing right now, or something that you've played a lot of recently?
I've been playing Sekiro with my
Yeah.
What's it called? I don't know what the subtitle is.
Something about dying twice.
Yes.
Death and Shadows or something. What is it? Shadows Die Twice.
Shadows Die Twice.
Yeah, there you go.
With my girlfriend, which has been a stressing experience for my
Okay.
girlfriend.
Yeah, oh, for her?
and me.
Yeah, okay. How far have you got? How are you finding it?
Hard.
Okay.
It's hard.
Yes. I haven't played it myself, but I've heard by design that it is. It can be punishing. Yeah. Okay.
Don't do it with your girlfriend. It's not the best.
No. Okay. Good advice from you. I think, unless I'm gonna have more questions chucked at me that are really pressing, I think we've had a really good stream. I think we've gone a little bit over time. If we can't get the trailer to run at the end of the stream, I very much encourage everyone to go find it on YouTube. It's right there, Hitman YouTube. We'll try and press play one last time and see if it works. We're getting positive feedback that it will. So I want to thank you for your time, for talking Siberia, for having your head beaten in by a car battery pillow, for telling everyone about the level. If there's questions that come in, you can expect me to be pinging you all over the place about how things work, and people will probably have questions. Also, I want to give a big shout out to Mass, who, despite the minor trailer issue, has made sure that we had a stream while Clements is on holiday enjoying some pina coladas on the beach. I actually think he's flying home today, so there was just an overlap. But Mass stepped in, made everything happen, got all the assets together. So kudos to Mass. If you're in chat and want to give Mass a thumbs up, now's the time to do it while he's here to look at your chat. And shout out to everyone in the studio as well who's watching, that's stuck with us this long and hasn't gone home or is listening on their phone while they're cycling back through the streets. Thank you for making Hitman 2 and letting us talk about it on the stream. We'll try and leave you with the trailer. We'll be here next month for another episode. Yeah, that's everything. If you've got questions, tweet them at us, put them in the forum. We'll see them and we'll respond as much as we can, either on a future live stream or somewhere else. And we'll leave you with the trailer or see you on YouTube. See you next month. Thank you, goodbye, and good night.
Welcome to Siberia, 47. One of the harshest climates on the planet. Your destination is the privately owned Perm 14 prison facility. You're tasked with the elimination of Vitaly Reznikov, warden at the prison. And Roman Kadko, renowned Ukrainian mobster with suspected political ties, has been a prisoner at Perm 14 for the past decade. A string of recent news articles has exposed violence and even murder as everyday occurrences in Perm 14. Both targets must be eliminated. Good luck, 47.